Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our next live stream. I'll be your producer for this session. Before we start, I do have some quick housekeeping. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional, and on topic. Keep an eye on that chat. We'll be dropping helpful links and checking for questions for our presenters to answer live. Our session is being recorded. It will be available to view on demand right here on the Reactor channel. With that, I'd love to turn it over to our speakers for today. Thank you for joining.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I see we have people from all over the world. My name's Ari Levigny. I'm a senior learning advocate. And today I want to show you a different way of thinking about credentials. Something that's really keeps you in the flow and really doesn't stop you from doing the work that you do every day. Instead of just stopping to study for exams, really, how does that proficiency, what you do every day, get accounted for? And that's where Microsoft Pro Badge and verified proficiency comes in, especially for GitHub Copilot. We're starting with GitHub Copilot it's in beta right now. And as we get to GitHub Universe, it'll be in GA. But I'm going to talk to you about that. So let's get into the next slide and what our roadmap is for today's session. So skills growth inside every development work that you do every day. So why now? How it works, giving you that verified proficiency. Really, it's the hands-on close. These 5 parts of the roadmap, what we're going to have today is what you control, what progress looks like. Obviously, it's in your control. This is something that you have to opt in for, and really walk through a hands-on skills exercise that shows you if you were using Copilot every day in the work that you do, showing an example of if we walk through a hands-on skills and how that hands-on exercise then correlates to getting your proficiency up for the different levels. So with that said, let's get into it. This is a 3-part flow. It happens from, the gap of progress happens in the flow work yet often goes unrecognized. So the work that we do every day to use these tools or in our development work gets missed. We often have to go off and take an exam and then prove that and get that credential. This is a type of credential that just is in your normal flow of what you do every day. And the outcome that it's a continuous signal of practical skill and growing confidence in your work. It's currently in beta, like I said, but we're going to get that to GA by GitHub Universe. Traditional credentials are exams, performance assessments, structured learning, and they're valuable, but they only show really one part of the equation and the capability. And in digital and AI supported environments, people demonstrate skill through the work itself, the strategies, the choices they make. So we really wanted to capture that. And that's really where Pro Badges comes in. The response is Pro Badges, and it recognizes real GitHub Copilot usage that you do every day in the product. Eventually, this will expand to other GitHub products, and I'm sure Microsoft products as well. But we're focused on GitHub Copilot today. That's what we're releasing for beta. And we want to just recognize what you do as developers every day, not just what you recall on your test day. So everyone studies for exams, and exams are great. It shows like we have the ability to retain information and then perform on the day of an exam. But it's really a very small snapshot of what we do every day as developers. And we want to be able to capture that. And like I said, it's a continuous signal of practical skill and growing your confidence as you go. I'm also, as it said, I'm going to get into a hands-on exercise at the end of this presentation. We'll also share some links with you about signing up to be part of the beta, as well as also, getting on the mailing list to be notified when updates are made about this verified proficiency and the Microsoft Pro badges. So the verified proficiency is not a separate exam. It's like I said, it's in the normal workflow of usage that you do every day. There's these 4 kind of trusted anchors, we call them. And since these are usually, private by default, we want you to fully opt into it. So we're not enabling this for everyone. It's really, you have to opt in to get this credential and follow that path. No raw code is reviewed. It's not like to that level of looking at the raw code that you're developing and writing every day. You only share only when you're ready. So I would say, this is the same rubric and scoring logic covered in our proficiency model, which blends both 70% product usage signals, real activity that you're doing in GitHub every day anyway, and skills, learning pathways, and credentials are examples of that. So like, I'm going to show you a GitHub skill. You can take that offline. And if you were opted into this proficiency, you would then get recognized for using that. And we'll talk about the different levels and what they mean in the next slide. But by going through some hands-on exercises, hands-on learning, as well as learning pathways, and then obviously if you receive exams or credentials, that's separate, but that also counts towards your total proficiency score, I would say. So there's no raw code reviewed. So there's no privacy being, I know people are hesitant to kind of share their, opt into this, but the idea is you're kind of doing that work anyway. We're not getting to the detailed level of what code you're generating. It's really just how you're using GitHub Copilot, for example. Are you using agent skills, or are you developing custom agents? Are you using custom instructions? Are you using different interfaces and surfaces? That's the type of things that we'll capture that would go towards your ultimate score to get you to the different levels. And with that said, let me get into some of those as you progress through those 5 visible levels. So the 5 levels are beginner, intermediate, expert, and beginner, intermediate, proficient, advanced, and expert. And those are the 5 levels and evidence as you grow through. And really, the beginner is that your evidence grows. As you get to the end, you're consistent and mastering, right? That's what expert means. It's almost like that top level. But as you go through all of these, a beginner recognizes Copilot as a practical tool, for example, understanding where it fits in the workflow. If you're at intermediate level, discovering and shaping behavior using Copilot in familiar settings and learning to guide the AI for better results. When you really become proficient, you're applying and optimizing, let's say, across the IDE, using Copilot in the IDE, the Copilot CLI, or the Copilot app, or the web interface, or different services. So you become proficient in how you scale that work. And advanced is where, your strategy and team workflow, configuring Copilot for project constraints and organizational tools. So even taking a little bit higher, maybe across your team and across your organization, and that's more of an advanced level. And then when you get to expert, you're really a platform mastery at this point, and integration, building on the Copilot platform itself. Maybe you're using the Copilot SDK to develop some solutions alongside Copilot. Create integrations that extend impact beyond, just like standard usage that you do every day. Yes, work across clients, we have different accounts across projects. That's a great question. Let's highlight that. I would say, and I'll also have time at the end for questions as well, but I'd like to answer this one. If you're using different accounts, it's going to track it by an account by account basis. So I guess you'd have a cumulative of your accounts. Maybe down the line, we'll have some solution where you can kind of couple a bunch of accounts together if you're using them. That doesn't exist today. But I think, obviously most of us, I think myself, I use kind of my main account for most of the development. When I'm testing some things, I have some test accounts. But when I'm really in my flow every day, I'm using my main account. So I guess that's kind of our target. Not to say that's a good feedback for us of maybe we want to include like a set of accounts or there's a way to do that. I'm sure some folks will be thinking about that after this call. So after this session. How's this evolving? Can you point us to the fine print? Love to take. Yeah, I'm going to share some links with you. If there's any questions on the levels, please ask. What badge do I get for arguing with Copilot? And that's funny. It's a good comment. I don't know. We'll have to come up with a badge for that. But so you could see the proficiency starts on GitHub Learn, and I'll share those links with you now. You know, you could also take a survey to give us some feedback and sign up for the beta, as well as then the insiders list. That's really gets like a mailing list. You could scan this code and go to that link as well. If you could scan it with your phone right now, you could do that, but I will share these links. You know, we really want people to come to GitHub Learn, sign up, start to investigate, opt in for signing up for Proficiency. And then as they go through, they can get some of this data. Obviously, we're in beta now. Like I said, GA by Universe is our target, but let me share some of these links now. So for the mailing list itself, this is for the mailing list. I'll put this in the comments. So therefore you can get notified as we're updating, as we go to GA, as things are happening with the proficiency model. Obviously this is for Copilot currently, but there's your link for that to kind of sign up for the beta and get more involved, and take some survey. I'll copy that link too. And you guys can do that also. And yeah, you guys should have access to that link as well. And that'll take you to a survey. It's a nice little short link. The link for the form is a bit longer, but that'll get you set up to signing up to be part of that, where we do have these resources. Microsoft Learn is a great place for the content. Actually, a lot of our GitHub Learn content, we have some Microsoft modules that are part of that. So basically that would feed into what you're doing from a learning path perspective. But for the work you're doing, like in the IDE or the different surfaces, that would be kind of separate, but it all comes together at the end of the day, I think is what I would say. And yeah, let me share, now that you mentioned Learn, I'm going to share this link too. This is our main interface. If we filled in the survey already. I'm not sure. I would assume that you, if you went to go sign up again, it would already probably tell you that the responses already be accounted for. I think that's how the Microsoft forms work, or that's how it was set up. So I think we'd try to sign up again if you forgot and see what happens. I don't think it's going to it's going to make you add you twice. So this is our main Learn site, and actually I could go there too in our web page. This is our skills. I'm going to be running through some of these skills. This is another good link to have, but this is our main page. I'll actually copy the skills link here too and add that as another link too. This is the link for the GitHub skills exercises. The other link is for the survey. Sorry if I put that in. Yeah, no, I did. Okay. Yeah, just making sure I put the links in correctly. But yeah, if you wanted to see what the survey, I can bring that up too, just so you could see what that looks like. I'll put that here in my browser. And this is where the form starts. It asks you some questions to walk through so you could get a sense of what the survey looks like. Again, this is our skills site where we have a bunch of skills. I'm actually going to be walking through this customize skill here. And if you were to walk through this, you would then, and you opted in for Proficiency and Pro Badge, you would then get recognition for that and get that credential and get to those different levels that I talked about here in the slide. Let me just go back one. So obviously, as you go through the different work you do every day, the learning paths, any of the materials on Learn, you would then get recognized for that beyond you using Copilot every single day. Obviously, this is targeted at Copilot to start as we open this up for beta and we get to GA, but we plan to do this across other like GitHub Actions, for example. I'm sure, like I said, Microsoft products, we would want this to of capturing that information as well. Let's just see. Yeah, let me see if I covered everything here. So, yeah, just to reiterate too, the insider list, because I think there was a question on that. The insiders list, the insiders list is for those who are interested in learning more about GitHub Proficiency without action items. This is more of a newsletter kind of thing. And then the survey is those interested in taking part of the beta program, and they can fill out that information that I showed in the form here. And it will be reviewed by the team, and then they will reach out and get you selected to take part. There's no guarantee there, but at least you get your chance to get in the pool of people that maybe could go through this in the beta program, and then obviously be brought into the GA immediately if you're already involved in beta. One thing too I want to say is please stay to the end because I will be giving away a promotional code for some certification stuff. So I didn't say that at the beginning, but I want to keep your attention for the end as we walk through this. But this is an example, of really what our proficiency model is. Let me just see if there's any questions. I'll go to the questions real quick. Do we have another sandbox or type of MS credentials where we do have hands-on and learn badges directly? I'm not aware specifically about that. There are labs I think you could sign up on the Microsoft side. These skills exercises are open source, like I shared with you in the Learn Skills link, where you could get access to those and do their open source. You can just copy them to the handle, which I'll show here, and get ready to take my exam. Now GitHub Learn looks somewhat redundant. I would say GitHub Learn has more than just the Microsoft Learn modules. So if you want to expand and learn and take hands-on exercises, then and it's all GitHub related, I think GitHub Learn is a good starting point for you to go to. And then I'm not sure what you asking for free, if it's the proficiency model or skills. Microsoft Learn modules are free. Our GitHub skills are free to take. I hope that answers that question. And with that said, I would like to get into a skill just because we're about 17 minutes in, and I know there'll probably be more questions as I go through on the GitHub skill, but also maybe some more proficiency and pro badge questions as they come up. As far as this is focused again on GitHub Copilot. So I guess we need a little bit of tunnel vision right now of focused in on what we're looking at for pro badge and verified proficiency is just GitHub Copilot. You go to GitHub Learn, there's learning pathways on GitHub Copilot, as well as Microsoft Learn modules that are in that learning path. I don't believe so. I think you just need your GitHub handle, and we can track it that way. You don't need a Microsoft account per se for that. Let's see if that's I think that is the case today. I don't know if Aaron, you wanted to chime in on the chat or send me a message and I can answer that, but I'm pretty sure that you need your GitHub handle to get started, and then you're good to go because it's focused on GitHub Copilot anyway. What is the migration for Microsoft Learn? We're on the same platform, so there's no migration needed. If all of our GitHub exams are using the same mechanism, Pearson for our exams, so then that's not a problem. Yeah, thank you, Chris. I appreciate you. As Chris said, and Chris is actually one of the guys that's developing the engine and stuff to capture all this. Christopher Blake, and he, like I said, I knew it was pretty much a GitHub account. You don't need anything else extra beyond that today. With that said, I'm going to get into the exercise. If you did want to go to this GitHub skills exercise and copy it to your handle and do your own walkthrough either now or afterwards, by all means, I welcome you guys to do that. Obviously, you may want to wait till you do beta and sign up for proficiency, but there's no reason why you can't do it twice and learn some cool tricks. I already kind of copied this to my handle to kind of speed things up and set up my code space. So I didn't have you guys waiting around for that part of things. And we'll get into this exercise right now. series. Okay, great. So yeah, this GitHub Skills is really learning GitHub within GitHub. We use actions to kind of walk someone step by step, all self-paced at the time that you have available. They usually take between 30 to 60 minutes, depending. You can always come back to it, and it's a repo that you can keep around to always reference in your own handle. I think that's some of the beauty of that. We're using this within the GitHub platform. It's an issue that gets created. So if I was to start on the front page of this, for example, instead of having that copy exercise, I can go to that exercise and then I'm taken right to the issue that's going to guide me through this as well. Yeah, Chris or Aaron, whoever, if you want to answer questions too while I'm showing this, please go ahead. I know you guys know this topics backwards and forwards. I already set up my code space. That's already been created. We could do this live preview to show. We already have that extension installed. If you did want to check that, though, you could do just do a search for live preview, and you can see I have it installed here in my code space for me. This code space is predefined for this exercise. Each code space might be different, but that's that. This is our full repo. So if we look at the assets, and we go to pages, this is the assignment one, but we want to look at the index. So if we did this, so we did right click, show preview, it's actually going to bring up this preview of what it's going to look like for this assignment, assignments due and keeping track of all assignments that are created. All of the code for this obviously is in our repo here. I could also, it's another link if I wanted to open it up that way. The show preview works pretty well though as an extension to do that. All of our our structure of our assignments are under here. I don't want to give away too much. Let's actually read the next step so we could walk through this. We're going to focus in on this step and set of activities around creating our first custom instruction. And this is like the main custom instruction for your repo that lives in this file name that's under the .github directory. So if I was to copy the name here, we'll talk about what is actually in these instructions. But obviously feel free to read along while I'm doing it as well. If you're getting the 500, please give it another try later. Okay. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for answering those while I'm doing this. So let's go to our code space. I'm going to create this file. Now I have it'll automatically open the file when I created it new. And what this custom instruction is really kind of giving a layout of the overall view of our project and some structure and guidelines to it. So we have the project structure of defined of what these different directories hold, the homework assignments, the reusable templates, assets, and the main index page. Project guidelines, maintain consistent styling. So that's going to be important as we add new exercises and new assignments and how that lays out. And keep the file and folders descriptive organized and how we do it. And educational standards as well. Pretty basic, but very important. Like for example, for this project, these are some guidelines that anyone coming in would want to do and maintain. And that would be defined in these generic instructions for our file. At that point, we have our instructions added. Let's go to Copilot Chat. I'm assuming most people are familiar with that. Obviously, you could do it in different files and inline as well, but I'm going to do it here. I'm actually going to switch to Ask. I'm going to go to Auto. I'd like to keep this balanced too. If anyone's been using VS Code lately, or the CLI, you'll see some things like now we have even more granularity in how we do response. I think that's pretty cool, this balanced efficiency for more optimization of tokens and intelligence, which gets a little bit deeper. And I'm selecting auto as well. Just I'd like to keep it that way for this demo and workshop. So it's going to go look through. It should pick up my instructions as well. It's actually laying out, looking through all the files in the project. It didn't necessarily look into my my custom instructions, but that's okay. It definitely could refine that more so down the line. The other thing I wanted to point out here, though, because I'm in auto mode, it actually told me the credits that I'm using on the request and the model that I'm using as well, which I think is cool too to see that right in that gets laid out. There's some other things here too. I won't get into those, but if you've used Copilot before, that should be pretty evident. Now let's go to the next part of the exercise. So now we have this ready to go. Oh, wait. Yep. These custom instructions. It uses the files that we created. And now we could commit these custom instructions to our repo. I'm just going to do this in the main branch, not a typical software development lifecycle that you want to do. But for this exercise, it's just showing the point of really the custom instructions, not us, creating a new branch, doing pull requests. We do have others that do that, but we're focused in on here on just getting the custom instructions in there. I had Copilot generate the comment for me. I could write my own comment. I like when Copilot does it. And now that's been added to our repo. And Mona, our actions, is kind of looking in the background, waiting to see if we did the right thing on our steps and activities that then allows us to go to the next step. I would say, too, to connect this back to Proficiency, verified Proficiency, and the Microsoft Pro badge, is that we now did some usage here and using chat in making these custom instructions in our repo. These would be accounted for in those levels of the badge and the verified Proficiency. And so like, that's what's key here, is that there's a correlation in, like, you're doing some hands-on work. You may be learning something new, or you may be working on a project, but that data is going to be collected, and then you're going to get a credential at a certain level based on that. And I think this has been well thought out to consider that of the work that you do every day, you stay in the flow, and you don't have to then stop and study for an exam. Not that you can't do that, and exams are great, don't get me wrong. But I think if you're getting credit for the work you do every day, it's just more impactful. And it really gets to the point of, like, you really are showing that you understand, in this case, GitHub Copilot at the different proficiency levels. So let's see, it should have ran, hopefully. Did we not commit? Oh, I did. Sorry, I didn't sync the change. My bad. One less step to do, but it should pick up now. I did the commit and the message, but okay. Let's see. Did get added. Not sure why this is not. Let's see if the actions are running, just to make sure. They should be. All right, let me see. I might have not finished another step. Or did I not put it in the right directory? No, they're here. GitHub. It's always the demo days. I already had this working. I tested this out earlier today. But it should have taken our change. Let me make sure our code was committed. We are there. Instructions, Copilot. That's correct. Let's go back to actions. Maybe we need to just go to, maybe I did not go forward with the next step, and that's why. Let me see. We should be set there. We did commit those to main. Hopefully we're not having any issues with actions today. Let me see if we try to trigger the action itself. It's interesting that it didn't just do that. And we should be on the main branch. Let's see if we get some triggers now. Step 1 is ready to go. Apologize for that. It should have just run. I ran this earlier today and it worked like a champ. Yeah, we should be triggered off of that. Interesting. Let me make sure this repo's right. Yep. Well, that being said, let's see what we can do. Code from Learn modules, the Copilot exam I am preparing for, and my own daily work. Do I need to do this GitHub Skills module for my skills to be validated? I don't think it's a requirement. It probably, maybe you look at your proficiency model and you may have a gap on something that you didn't cover in the work that you do every day. Then maybe you want to come to a GitHub skills exercise that then covers that. And then you could get credit, see how it works, and then you could use it in your everyday work, right? So it's kind of a cyclical pattern there of like, maybe there's a topic that you're not aware of or a way to use Copilot, and you could come to a learning path or a GitHub skill and then get that from that perspective. So it's not really forcing you to do this. It's more enhancing your skill level. Let's see if I can do this here. Let's, you know what I'll do? I'm going to make a quick edit here. Oops. Yeah, actually, I don't want to do that. Let's see. Let me go to the next step. I'm really, oh, wait. Oh, wow, it opened up some issues for me. Oh, that's the main repo. I don't want to do that there. Let's come back here and see why this did not trigger. That's all right. What I'll do is I'll do this. Steps, go to 2. We'll continue along with the steps and I'll figure that out as we go. But this would be the second step in that set of activities that we would do anyway. So I'll just pivot to that. Now we're going to create, so we created some generic instructions for our repository. Now we're going to create some pointed ones that are for certain types of files. So we're going to create this under a .github/instructions structure. And then these will says that these apply to all of the assignment files. And it's really for getting consistency. What this is for, consistency in the assignments that we have and the ones that we'll create in the future. So if I was to come back here, what I'll do too is I'm going to enable that action for 2, and hopefully that will actually just get us past that. We'll enable that for now. And we'll see what we get. So I'll create that directory. I should say, yeah, new file. Sorry. And now we have this assignments file, and we're going to take what I kind of described to you folks. We'll keep that open. In here, kind of all over the place. Apologize. But let me go back to the. Yeah, there we go. So now I'll take the contents that really is about our assignments. And you may have different Copilot instructions for different files, different directories, different types of files. Obviously, you can do all of that. And now you have the custom instructions here for assignments. I'm going to close these files. I like to close them. We did some chatting. I like to refresh my chat window when I go from one to another. So I'll keep that open here, that it's fresh. And you can see we could always go back to the session that we just did as well. And then as we come down here, we are going to switch to agent mode. And we're going to, instead of asking, we're going to have it actually update an assignment. And I'm going to open up that assignment so we could see what it looks like today. Or I should say right now. So games in Python, if we look at that README, this does not follow the format of what we're expecting from our instructions. If we look at these instructions, it's telling us like what it should be laid out as, what template it should use. and things like that. So it's not actually following that. So let me just bring the README up again. So let's see if Copilot with our instructions can now update. We could also add the files explicitly of what's open in our editor as well. Yes, we all do love the demo gods. I agree with you. So now what it did was it went into this game's README and it updated to match the consistency of all my READMEs of what I specified in my instructions. We'll keep this file. It has what we want. If we were to look actually compared to another one, you could see that it's consistent across with the objectives, the tasks, what we already called out in our instructions. So those changes have been made. I'm going to come here. So now we added our instructions. We use the instructions with agent mode in the chat window to update that README for us, so that therefore it's now consistent. And as we create new assignments, it's going to follow that consistency as well because we defined it in these instructions. Again, touching on something that's Copilot related with instructions, which you would get proficiency for, and showing you how that works hands-on to really understand it in case you didn't. Maybe you're not using that in your projects today. This would give you the ability to do that. And I think that's important to connect you learning something new, gaining that proficiency, and then getting the credit, the credential for it. Yeah, I did test reality actually. It worked earlier, I swear. I ran through this morning, exactly as as it's designed, and it should have run. So let's see if we got a better result now. Yeah, it looks like actions just aren't running. So I don't know if that's another issue related to that. Let's see, in settings, we should be. Doesn't look like anything's waiting for me. Let's see. Let's just check actions general. Allow actions, reusable workflows. For some users who are now new to GitHub, external contributors. Yeah, we should be fine. Workflow read and there. Okay, thank you, Alec. I appreciate you. I'm like, I know this works, and it does work. We have excuse us, we have an actions incident. Of course, that's what happens when we're doing live demos, but that's okay. That's all right. We can keep walking through this. I don't need the actions to guide me. I've learned through this many times. When actions is up, this should behave as we would expect. But thank you, Alec, for letting me know that. Best luck, right? Best laid plans, as we say. But okay, we can go now to step 3. Actually, I did merge that. So those files are there. I'll close this out. I'm going to clean my slate here. We're all back to where we were again to the next step. So we'll go to step 3. And now we're going to focus on reusable skills or agent skills. If you're familiar with Claude, that's where they originated from. And we're going to create an overall skill file, some specifics on references for that skill, and some scripts we would use as part of the skill. A skill is just basically a combination of things that you can leverage with Copilot to do things consistently. And as we walk through this, through progressive disclosure, discovery, activation, resources, feel free to read through it. I think there's a lot of good content here. This is the directory structure. We're going to create a skill called new assignment. So when we add a new assignment, we're going to call that skill, and it's going to, again, help us with our custom instructions to create a consistent skill that has all of the pieces that we need. We'll have a reference directory and a scripts directory. I am going to actually create these a little bit easier for myself, just because I don't need to create them individually. I'm going to do this on the command line in my code space. I'll lift this up. And what I'll do is I'm going to create these directories here. And now what we should see is skills. There's obviously no files in there yet. We'll get there, but we have the directory structure that we talked about right here. And then we can start a new assignment. So I will create this file in our skill. Let me just clear this out a little bit. New file. We're going to call it new assignment skill. All skills start with that capital skill.md file is your kind of landing spot. And then obviously you can span out in different directories from there. We'll talk about the name, the description. When you create a new programming assignment, assignments live, that we'll have to create this config, update the config.json file, gather requirements, things like that, create an assignment, the README for that, that it follows this kebab case ID. And then also we're going to create that assignment guide for guidance on difficulty scope. That's part of the skill. We'll walk through using that skill to show how it actually works. And then other references to the scripts that we'll need, which we'll also go to create as part of this. So first off, let me copy this and get that started in the main skill.md file, markdown file. And once that's been created, then we're going to add that reference guide, and that reference guide is the design guide, difficulty and scope, the starter code, and then example topics by difficulty. So we're going to show how this works, right? This is all in Markdown, but we're going to show how this actually lays out when we go to use it. If I was the one that created this to begin with and I'm utilizing it, or maybe I'm a new developer coming to this project and how to leverage those set of skills. Let me first copy the file would be great. Simplify that a little bit. We'll add a new file. It's going to go under the references of that skill. And there we have the file name. And then we'll copy what we have for that specific reference that we're going to use as part of the skill. So again, not everything that you write for a skill has to be in this main. Oh, did I just screw that up? Let me just make sure I did not overwrite that. No, I think that's right. Reference. Yeah. Okay, good. thought I copy pasted the wrong thing. But not everything you have has to be in the main skill.md. That's what this is supposed to show. So you can spread that out. Here, this will control what's there for the assignment. You may add something, maybe you want like a grading thing that's a part of this skill that's at the end of the assignment to know what to grade, or maybe that is built into this file. But that shows you how you can span out and not, you won't have a monolith of a markdown file of a skill to do that. Let me close. Yeah, I just want to make sure this is correct. Yeah, perfect new assignment. Yeah, I'm going to close these files and we'll open up as we go all together. And now we have some bundle scripts to do the update of the config file so that we have it added to our assignments. And then we also have a script that's add an attachment as well. Create a second script that attaches files to an existing assignment as well. All in JavaScript. So let me get the file name. I think I copied it, but let me make sure. We'll put a new file. And now as you can see, our structure for our skill is kind of filling out. And before actually I go to copy and paste this, I'm going to I'll create this file too. I'm kind of going a little out of order, but I think you guys get the gist of it. If you've been doing development for a while, I'm sure you get it. So now we have the two files. So we have our scripts, we have our reference for assignment guide, and we have our main skill file. And we come back here to the, this is what will update our config.json. It's going to go and update the config.json that we have living in the main right here in the main part of the repository project. So there's our our update config, and now we want to add files, attach files as well. So we'll take this code here. Obviously, too, I think what's great about our GitHub skills, again, reiterating that it kind of shows you how to do something and do it in the best practice way. This is very basic, so it's very like lightweight on showing you how it works, and then you could take that and kind of run with it for your own projects and repositories. I see we're about like 15 minutes left, so I'm going to keep moving along here. So at this point, I have all the set, and now we can actually use and create a new assignment. So what I'll do is I'm going to clean everything out, close my files. I don't have any open sessions, minimize my stuff as we're starting all new, so it's very clear for everyone to see. And then I'm going to create a new assignment about building REST APIs. And what we want to see is these type of questions and things that are happening as well. And then we can check in everything when we're all said and done. Again, I'm in agent mode. Also at the top here, you could see it tells you that you should be in agent mode, I believe. Copilot automatically match your request whether you're activated. You can also invoke it with a new assignment as well if you wanted to. So if I was to do that / new assignment, oops. Or maybe not. I thought it would be there. We should have our skill, GitHub skill. Yep. We have all the directory. We have the files. We also invoke explicitly / commands on the chat input. So let's see if that is the case. I'm going to also switch back to auto again, where stay in agent mode. Let's see if it actually finds it directly with the skill that we just created. Creating the starter code. We can open that README for that assignment too. Here's our new one that you can see is in green. The starter code's there. Let's see what all the to-dos are. We'll allow this in the session. Let's see, created assignment, added starter code, register assignment, and thing that I would like to have done is, I guess it did do that. Okay, it did everything here that we expected it to. Other assignments too. If you wanted not to just do this default one too, there's some other ideas that Alec put in here for you to use, as well as other topics you could take into account. We allowed that to run, and now we have all our assignments as we'd like. Trying to see, there was one other thing I wanted. No, I think I covered it all. Just making sure we covered all the topics. So now we do have a new assignment. It's all set. We did create the README. If we look at the README again, we did follow that pattern because of our custom instructions. We also updated our config JSON with that new course. Again, part of that skill to do that for us. And what else did we also attach any files that we wanted to as well. So at this point, we have a good layout of, we have a README, we have the starter code Python file for our assignment. We have the skill that we created with all of its pieces, the main markdown file for the skill, the assignment guide, and then the scripts that we're using as well as part of that. So really cool stuff, really shows you kind of the concept of customizing Copilot for you for a project, and how you can leverage it. Maybe you want to leverage that skill somewhere else too, and you want to make it more broader, but obviously this is targeted very much at this repository that we're showing here in this GitHub skills exercise. And I'd say our actions have run, but I'm not confident of that. So we'll just keep stepping through with the guide here and doing our thing. So we've tackled custom instructions. We've tackled and custom instructions at a granular level. We've tackled agent skills just now to show you how to use that skill to create a new assignment. And now we're going to create a custom agent to kind of couple with that skill as well. So we'll step through this. You create agents under .github/agents. As you notice, everything is pretty much created underneath .github. So this shouldn't be any different or unusual or anti-pattern. So here is we're going to call this the assignment brainstorming agent that's going to help us brainstorm a new assignment with us. Have access to certain tools like search and VS Code ask questions, handoff labels as well for the agent. So like if we see create this assignment as a handoff, which will show how that works, we're going to switch from this custom agent to the default agent that you already get. I think it's really awesome that you can direct this custom agent to do that or call on a sub agent or some other agent to do that. In this case, we're using the default one. So I'll copy and paste this here. Obviously there's the workflow. It mentions that it's going to, this has the workflow of how it works to ask questions. And then that ask questions is what's going to pop up some clarifying questions for us as part of that agent. By me adding that file now you'll notice we now have a new agent here. So that's where that would pop up once you add it. We didn't have that before. If I was to remove that file and you saw it in the main, like starting fresh, it would not be there. And you can configure custom agents. I won't get into that for the sake of time. But at this point, now we can actually select that agent and we can ask it to brainstorm. We'll ask it some basic questions. So we'll select that agent. I will start a new session, like I said, I've been doing. I like that too, because you could always go back and see what you've done and kind of correlate things in each session separately. So we'll use that brainstorming agent. I'll ask that very, very vague question using the agent and agent dropdown. So this is what we want to see because we added that to our custom agent to do. It's actually going to ask me, because of the skill that we created, do I want this to be intermediate? Do I want a beginner review or advanced? So let's say intermediate. We'll go with that. You could also add a custom one as well. And then I think, did we do? Yeah, we did the first one. And then we could say, like, do we want this as part of the skill again, asking these clarifying questions of, do you want one class period, no new packages, things like that. And then we are ready to submit this. So these are the things that are all defined in the skill that we created. And the agent is just really kind of facilitating that for us and guiding us through, and also doing that switch back to the regular agent to then create the assignment. So we'll click submit at that point. Got about 7 minutes here, so we should be good because this is the last piece that we want to do. We won't get our cool congratulations. I didn't switch the model. Sorry about that, but I'm using this one right now, but you don't have to. I do, when I walk through actually building my exercises, I tend to use auto because I want the most efficient for anyone, so they use the least amount of credits. But in this one session here, I did use that. And now we've come back, right, because of what we've turned around in the agent. So if you bring up that agent, right, the last of this is that we want to create the assignment for ourselves. And once we'll click that, it will go off. And now using our skills, our custom instructions, all of the pieces that we've built on top of each other for this GitHub skills exercise, we've we will get a new one created. Again, though, you could see how many surfaces, how many specific things that we're touching in GitHub's in GitHub Copilot that then are going to be correlated to gaining you a certain score in the proficiency model. See if there's let's see. This is the register. Gotcha. Perfect. We'll click allow. As you can see, it already went and started creating this new assignment for us. We'll allow this to, I think the last piece that I'm going to show is hopefully we have our new assignments built in here. Let's see what we have now. We have the API one that we just actually added from that last step and set of activities. Sure. I usually say allow. You can allow all. You obviously you could be more. I'm going to keep the files, but let's look at what was created. Created the README in the format that we would expect based on our custom instructions. Let me move this over. We added a test gradebook Python to test what's created, and then the gradebook itself. Testing that Python. So it created the test for us. And that's all part of the skill, the agent, the custom instructions that we've been building on for this entire exercise all together. And the idea is that when we're happy with what we have, we created the assignment, everything's finished here. If we would do that, there we have also, I did refresh it. I guess it was here as well because I completed, but I created this new assignment using all of those pieces. I'm going to get some proficiency out of that, some verified proficiency, because I'm using all of the tooling. And when we talk about like tooling, I think of what's available not here, what's available here in the tooling of what's built in. And we're kind of touching a lot of things, obviously focused on GitHub Copilot, just to keep that in mind, but we're touching all of those items. And I think, while you're doing this in your everyday work for a project, or you're doing some learning, you're getting the credit for the learning and kind of some credentials based on that without actually stopping to take an exam. So that's kind of what I think of my mind, since I use these tools every single day. But at this point, we do have a working website with our new features. We created we ran through all of our steps. If we did complete this, and actions were running as we would expect, we'd get this awesome conclusion and review and links to other exercises and so on and so forth. So got about 3 minutes left. Let me look if there's any questions that I can answer that haven't been answered by my awesome teammates, Chris and Aaron. Oh yeah. And last but not least, I want to give you the code too. We are at the end. So you've waited to the end. So I definitely don't want to forget that. And I will specify before I kind of shoot this code out there. I know everyone's got they're ready to go. It covers 50% that you could use worldwide. It's applicable for the GH600, our Agentic AI Developer Exam certification, and it's open from today to 8/28 to use that code. Because there is a limit on how many, and all you have to do is book your exam today. You do not have to take it today. So you have 90 days out that you can take it. And then also you would be able to, you'd have 90 days to take it. So you don't have to worry about that. You put, that's what I wanted to remember. You put the code at the very end when you're going to pay, and it will take off the top. It will take off the total amount and reduce it by 50%. So just keep that in mind. Here's the code. It's coming through. Go have at it. But I wanted you guys to wait to the end. Yeah. But yeah, you at least reduces the cost for everyone. And that's funny. We're happy to share that with you guys. Take advantage of it for participating in this session. I hope the proficiency model, the verified proficiency, and the Microsoft Pro badge, you do opt into it. I really don't see any downside to it, but obviously everyone has their different level of privacy, how they feel about it. And as time goes on in newsletters, we'll keep communicating on what that means even more in depthly. We'll get deeper into that and also things that are coming up. Yes, Canada, it's 140. Yeah, it's tariffs. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, you would get discount on the exam. But if you're stayed involved in the newsletter, that would be that'd be awesome because you're going to get notified. You'll be the first to see and take part and opt in. Get notified of any updates that are coming down. Again, we're targeting GA at GitHub Universe, so keep that in mind. Yep, thank you. I appreciate that. It is 50% is better than 100%, right? So we love it. If there's any other questions, I think we're almost at the end. We are at the hour, at the top of the hour. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. But hope this was helpful. Hopefully it gives you a kind of an insight into what we're building. We're taking that next step beyond just certifications. How do you get credentials in everything you do every day? And you can recognize that and share that with your peers and share that out. The key thing too, I will put this, it's not kind of explicitly said, but the idea is that these are credentials that you can take with you. You can get that credential data, you can download it. We're going to have that available to you down the road. That's kind of GA and post that. But just wanted to say, kind of reiterate that. Thank you everyone for your time. I hope this was useful. Hope you take some GitHub skills exercises, and I hope you opt in for the Microsoft Pro badge and a verified proficiency for Copilot. So thank you again. Appreciate you all. And you guys have the great rest of your day or evening or wherever you are. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining, and thanks again to our speakers. We're always looking to improve our sessions and your experience. If you have any feedback for us, we would love to hear what you have to say. You can find our survey link on the screen or in the chat, and we'll see you at the next one.